Good evening and thanks for joining us on this first edition of the news for this week on DBS television. Before we get into the newscast itself, let us first get the headlines. The first batch of Sinopharm coronavirus vaccines have arrived in Cameroon, and Minister Manaouda Malachi has taken the lead in receiving the vaccine. This as an action to help other Cameroonians accept vaccination, beginning with health workers. In religion, the Islamic holy month of Ramadan begins this Tuesday evening, with Muslim faithfuls taking on last-minute preparatory activities. Get an insight of these activities as well as the significance of this fasting period. All of this in tonight's newscast, that is when we return in a moment. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of the newscast on DBS television. I am Cynthia Ngwemo. Like you heard on our headlines in this news, Cameroon has received her first stock of the coronavirus vaccine that is to fight the pandemic. 200,000 doses of Chinese-manufactured Sinopharm arrived in Cameroon yesterday, April 11. At the reception ceremony was Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute, accompanied by other government ministers who were there to represent the head of state. Ate Bonaventure tells us more.
A timely donation to a friend in need. The Chinese diplomat symbolically hands over a sample of vaccine to the head of government during a ceremony at the Simalen International Airport. The ambassador and the Minister of Public Health signed a handover reception document for the donation of 200,000 doses of the Sinopharm COVID-19 vaccine to Cameroon before the handover. Prime Minister and Head of Government Chief Joseph Dion Ngute said the health workers will be given priority in administration of the vaccine. Meanwhile, the Chinese diplomat, for his part, said the vaccine has been donated as part of Chinese efforts to assist middle-income countries obtain the vaccination to curb the coronavirus infections that is leaving many lives in Cameroon. The vaccines have been transported to Cameroon through a technical partnership between the Islamic Development Bank and the United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, and Cameroon government.
Administration of the Sinopharm vaccine offered to the Cameroon government by the Chinese government has been launched in Yaoundé at the Orca Specialized COVID-19 Treatment Center. Amongst the first to be vaccinated was the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manaouda Malachi. According to the health boss, priority would be given to health practitioners who are on the front line in the national response plan against the deadly pandemic that is claiming lives in Cameroon. The vaccination exercise shall continue on Thursday and Friday in the littoral and southwest regions, respectively. A second consignment of the vaccine is expected to arrive in the country on April 17. Meantime, those who have been vaccinated are advised to call the toll-free emergency number 1510 to report any post-vaccination abnormalities. In religion, last-minute preparations are taking place for Muslim communities which look forward to this year's fasting period. In the following report, Mange Venasius takes a look at some of the key items which are being prepared by Muslim faithfuls, as well as giving us an insight look of the true significance of the fasting. Here's his report.
Barely a few hours, Muslim faithfuls will be entering into the month-long fasting period, a period in which they deprive themselves from bodily pleasure so as to draw closer to God. Final preparations are taking place in families to stock as much food as necessary that could carry them throughout the 30 days of fasting, a period that will need food items like pap, as this lady explains, because it helps them to break the fast with before any other food. Being a period of fasting, it is equally the moment Muslim faithfuls are called upon to exercise some degree of charity by sharing especially with the needy. Reason why these women intend to share with those in prison as well as their neighbors, just like the Asad al-Bayan group, with their target being those in orphanages. All these preparations are done according to the financial ability of each person. As Imam Zakaria Doti explains, faithfuls will be fasting as the Holy Quran lays down so as to attain piety, thereby drawing closer to Allah. Therefore, fasting is not only from food, but abstaining from sin, calumny, and all bad acts. Added to this, it is aimed at letting others feel what the poor go through in life. It is a blessed moment which Muslim faithfuls consider a privilege to observe.
Over in education, classes have resumed across nursery, primary and secondary schools in Cameroon today for the third term period of the academic year. The resumption is being observed under the strict respect of COVID-19 barrier measures as prescribed by the government. Our reporter Joy Ngong went visiting some schools in the city of Douala today, and here is the report she brought back for the news.
After a 2-week-long Easter holiday, nursery, primary and secondary schools across the country have resumed classes for the third term amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, the last for the 2020-2021 academic year. At the Government High School Bobongo in the Douala 3 subdivision, the students are all set to begin lessons. The principal says there is still a lot of work to be done this term.
The activities of the third term will be the same as previous school years. Pedagogically, we have to prepare potential candidates to face certificate examinations. For this, we have to at least round up the program.
Meanwhile, at the government's primary school New Bell Group 2, the pupils are having a fun-filled resumption as they get to reconnect with friends. The lay private sector is not exempted in the school resumption process. At the Islamic private school, back to school is followed by the strict respect of COVID-19 barrier measures. Authorities, however, say some parents are reluctant to complete the payment of school fees and would rather advocate for the close down of schools.
Ils ont plutôt tendance à penser qu'il va y avoir confinement.
Parents feel there will be lockdown and they will not have to pay the second installment of school fee. Here are report cards which have not been collected because they thought that the third term will not be effective.
The ball has been set rolling. The eyes of these school children are looking forward to the end of the term, of course, as they hope to change levels by the end of the academic year.
Students and pupils in the East region, notably in Betua, also returned to the classroom this April 12, 2021 after their 2 weeks Easter break. The back-to-school exercise in Betua for the third and last term of the year took place in all government and primary or private schools supervised by the regional delegation of secondary education. The focus of their presence on the field this day was to evaluate the level of respect of COVID-19 barrier measures, notably the washing of hands to access the classroom, the practice of physical distancing, and above all, the wearing of face masks, without which students were sent out of the classroom. Let's now listen to the East Regional Delegate of Secondary Education, Maurice Nganke, who reiterates the importance of respecting the life-saving measures. He spoke to our East Regional correspondent, Hugues Pascal Chofo. Let's.
The main objective of the tour was to verify the application of the instruction of the Minister of Secondary Education. In particular, the disinfection of classrooms and all the schools where we were this morning, have been disinfected this weekend. And we insist that there will be a procès-verbal of this disinfection. And this won't be only for the for this time. It will be a permanent measure to combat, to fight against COVID-19. That we engage all schools, all principals to apply this measure, not only for this the time, but all the time, all the weekend, that we will verify that this measure has been applied.
The past week has been a sad and dark one for Cameroon, as the country has lost over 5 personalities within just 7 days. It has been a series of deaths from religious leaders to traditional authorities as well as politicians. Joy Ngong in the following report revisits some of the deaths recorded from April the 2nd to date. Let's get her report.
It may seem as though a death wave is sweeping across the web of Cameroonian authorities. It took only 1 week for the country to lose over 5 top personalities, including traditional and administrative authorities. After the death of Archbishop Emeritus of Douala, Christian Cardinal Tumi, on April 2nd, Cameroonians woke up on April 5 to the news of the demise of His Majesty Ali Mayatu. He was the Secretary of State to the Minister of Public Health in charge of epidemics and pandemics. Ali Mayatu died of cardiac arrest at the Yaoundé General Hospital as announced by his private secretary. 3 days later, DBS editorial team learned of the death of Professor Gervais Mendoze, the former Director General of the Cameroon Radio Television CRTV. He passed away on April 9, 2021 at the Jordan River Hospital in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Professor Mendoze passed on after videos of his deteriorating condition went viral on social media, with rumors of him being granted presidential pardon. Traditional authorities then continued the death trend with the decease of Pon Victor Mukete, the paramount ruler of the Bafo people. Pon Mukete was Cameroon's oldest senator at age 103. Reports say he died at the General Hospital in Yaoundé. Same day, the passing of Njoya Rabiatu, co-heir and advisor to the King of Bamoun, was made public. The writer's death was announced by Sultan Bobo Joya, King of the Bamoun people. These tragic incidents have not gone unnoticed by the Cameroonian press. While some media focus on how the deceased will be remembered and their supposed legacy, others question the mysterious death alignment of the various administrative figures in Cameroon. Meanwhile, several politicians have taken to their social media handles to extend condolences to the bereaved. One is, however, tempted to question whether death has smuggled its way into the arena of Cameroon personalities.
Still on that dark page with death, we now move on to the west region of Cameroon, and notably in the Bamoun Kingdom, where the people are still bereaved following the passing on of one of their most valuable and influential daughters of the soil, Princess Njoya Rabiatu, who was a Cameroonian author, lecturer and philanthropist amongst other titles. She died on Friday the 9th of April from illness at the age of 76 and was buried on Saturday the 10th. Friends, family, collaborators and acquaintances as well as admirers of the deceased came in thousands to pay their last tribute to her. Her funeral service was marked by emotions, the chanting of the Quran, Muslim prayers, and above all, testimonies on the memory of Princess Njoya Rabiatu. Born in 1945 in Fumban, she was the very first Bamoun woman to earn a bachelor's degree in the 1960s. Njoya Rabiatu is one of the 50 distinguished Cameroonian women by the Ministry of Arts and Culture in Cameroon. This brings us now to the foreign page, beginning with Djibouti, where President Ismail Omar Guelleh has been declared winner of the presidential elections, giving him another term after he scored over 97% of votes in Friday's election. Still in line with elections in Chad, the president Idriss Déby is seeking another term after his 30 years rule, as he took part in yesterday's presidential elections in the country. We'll get details of these stories in the following with Rogeyatu Buba.
Djibouti veteran ruler Ismail Omar Guelleh is now confirmed as president for a fifth term, with final results showing he won over 97% of votes. It is his highest score since he entered politics. Guelleh faced off with only one rival after opponents boycotted the election. His challenger, Zakaria Ismail Farah, won just 2% of the vote. Farah declared the results were far from reality. Ethiopia and Somalia's leaders congratulated Guelleh on his victory. The Horn of Africa, Djibouti, is relatively stable, especially compared with its regional neighbors, Somalia, Ethiopia and Eritrea. Polls opened on Sunday in Chad's presidential election, with incumbent Idriss Déby one of the first to cast his ballot. Opposition leaders have called for a boycott in protest against his leadership. Election officials began counting ballots at a polling station in the center of the capital, N'Djamena, immediately after polls closed. The United Nations urged Chad's election supervisors and courts to ensure these elections are conducted freely, fairly and transparently. Late on Thursday, the government said it had arrested several opposition politicians accused of planning terrorist attacks against the Electoral Commission's headquarters and the ransacking of polling stations. Déby has depended on a firm grip over state institutions and one of the region's most capable militaries to maintain power. The Election Commission has until April 25th to announce provisional results.
That brings us to the end of tonight's edition of the news on DBS television with me, Cynthia Ngwemo. Thanks very much for your keen attention. Thanks especially for letting us inform you. We hope to see you when we return tomorrow for a fresh edition. For now, good night.